Stand abilities are not very well known for their consistency, but rather their extremely bizarre and specific powers. Stands often tend to gain new abilities out of seemingly nowhere whenever it's convenient for the plot, or sometimes their abilities just completely change. So what's the deal? This is a new series that I've had in mind for a while now, where I take a look at a stand or just any ability in general that seems to be inconsistent or that has controversy around the ability. And some of the stands that work best for this series at the moment are stands whose abilities we don't fully know, so pretty much JoJolian stands. But one stand specifically from JoJolian that I find myself debating with people every time it comes up is Walking Heart. So what's the deal with Walking Heart? Well, first of all, it's the stand possessed by Hato Higashikata, the second eldest and the thickest of the Higashikata family, at age 24 years old, just underneath Jobin. We first see her stand Walking Heart appear in chapter 54, Damo Tamaki Kills Again, where after Damo has used his stand Vitamin C on most of the family and things are looking in his favor, Josuke, while under attack by Damo, secretly uses his stand Soft and Wet to free Hato from Vitamin C's softening and melting ability, which looking back in retrospect was a huge gamble on Josuke's part, as he had no idea what Hato's stand ability was capable of, or even if she had a stand at all. But Josuke's gamble paid off as Hato used her Walking Heart to brutally pierce Damo a total of 4 times in different parts of his body in only a matter of seconds, after being betrayed by her boyfriend, who she didn't want to stop believing in, until she finally realized that it was the man she thought she loved and brought into her family's home that has been attacking and causing her family pain, and even attacking Hato herself. We get a really good idea of Walking Heart's stand ability when we actually see Hato's attack on Damo. It seems the stand can extend objects, but not exactly extending something, more in a way of stretching the object out, as we see when Walking Heart is used to extend Hato's high heels. The heels before being affected didn't have a pointed end, but when stretched out by her stand, the heels become thinner and more pointed as it is stretched, creating a pretty effective weapon for piercing damage, especially when complemented by the stand's extreme speed. As we see, Hato was able to shoot out 3 kicks in what seemed to be less than a second, as her stand retracted her heels and extended them again so fast it appeared that they all hit Damo at the same exact time, completely piercing his body at every single point the heels made contact with. So Walking Heart's power and speed are pretty damn good, but one thing I'm conflicted on is the stand's precision. Taking a look at the instance I just mentioned, Hato's attacks seem to be pretty inaccurate, hitting Damo in non-fatal and seemingly random places, the side of his neck, his hand, his arm, and his leg. But then in the next chapter, we see Hato use her stand for utility, as she was able to stab her heels into the side of the Higashikata house in order to walk up it. And once on the roof, without even being able to see Damo, rather just by hearing him, Hato was able to accurately pierce him twice in a row, both directly in the head, showing that the stand is extremely accurate. So I'm just going to assume that during Hato's first attack, she didn't immediately kill Damo because she wanted him to suffer and feel pain, or she wasn't able to hit him because of her emotional state. But because of what Hato showed us on the roof and the fact that the stand Walking Heart itself looked like it was aiming at something and looking down into the building, and almost as if it was pointing to the spot Damo was at for Hato. Based off this, I'm going to say that the stand is very accurate, giving it pretty good stand stats in destructive power, speed, precision, and range, considering the stand's main ability is to attack from a distance. I'd say somewhere around a medium range, and I really couldn't see Walking Heart's ability extending something for that long, considering it's not really extending, but rather stretching, so maybe it would be able to stretch a larger object for a longer length. And as we've seen, she was able to stretch her high heels to about 4 meters. But one thing about Walking Heart that I see people saying that I don't understand is that her high heels are her stand, or that her ability can only affect her high heels. I mean, I guess I can kind of see where people get this idea, because we have only seen her ability used on her shoes. But just by looking at the nature of Walking Heart and the way stands have been working since they were introduced, it's pretty clear that Walking Heart's ability should be able to be used on more than just Hato's shoes. Stands that are objects themselves or that are bound to one specific tangible object do not have full physical appearances. So saying Hato's high heels are her stand would be like if Whole Horse had his stand the Emperor, but also had a humanoid stand that appeared behind him, that was also the emperor. And the same goes for other stands that are objects as well, like Beach Boy, Toth, Bastet, the Lock, Cream Starter, and the list goes on. When a stand can only affect one object, it's usually because the stand is bound to that object, but when it comes to Walking Heart, it is a full humanoid appearing stand that is not bound to any object. It just so happens that Hado uses her stand in the way that she is most comfortable with, her high heels. And as we saw, it was very efficient. And the same rule for stands that are objects applies to stands that are bound to objects as well. How they don't have a full physical appearance. Just look at stands like Superfly and Strength. It just doesn't make sense for Walking Hard to only affect that specific pair of high heels, or in that matter, any shoes that Hado would wear. So say for example, one day Hado just didn't want to wear shoes. That means Hado's stand with a full physical appearance that appears behind her like any other stand would be completely useless because she wasn't wearing shoes. If I had to guess what this stand is capable of, just from what we've seen from it so far, is that Hado has the ability to extend any object that she is in direct contact with. I see this as a much more logical assumption based on what we've seen the stand do and how the stand appears, rather than having the stand only being able to affect a certain pair of shoes. I wouldn't be surprised to see more of Walking Heart at some point in JoJoLands, showcasing more of its abilities, but at the same time, I still wouldn't be surprised if we continued to see Hado use Walking Heart in the same way by just using her heels, because that seems to be how she best utilizes her stand ability. I mean, this wouldn't be the first time we see someone get in a habit of using their stand in a specific way. And with legs like Hado's, she probably found this to be the best way to use her stand ability. And it does seem a bit convenient having everything on your feet because she seems to be able to kick very well and also being able to walk up walls like we saw her do. But I don't think by any means her stand ability is limited to her shoes. And that's the deal with Walking Heart. Like this video if you enjoyed, or if I just fought your boredom, and of course subscribe for more videos. I'd appreciate some feedback on what you guys think about this new series, and of course I would like to know any suggestions you guys have for the series as well. It's not so much a stand explain series, but more so clearing up controversy around highly debated stands, and also predicting stand abilities that aren't fully explained yet. And with that in mind, I'd love to hear your guys' suggestions. Thank you all for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed.